Hey, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Thursday, 11:27 a.m. California time. March 27th, 2025 is the date. Hope everyone's having a good day out there. Friday, right around the corner tomorrow. Goodness, weekend is already upon us. Excuse me. All right. Got some activity stirring up here across the Santorini area of Greece. Of course, that's a region that's had quite a bit of earthquake activity out here in the last couple months. Some speculating that it could lead to an eruption of the Santorini area. That volcano out there across the Sea of Crete, quite a dangerous volcano, and can do a whole bunch of damage out there if that thing were to blow. It's got some catastrophic eruptions there in its past. A 4.5 earthquake striking that area in the earthquake swarm region. Let me show you guys here. Here's the Santorini area. Just to the northeast around the Kilauea volcano, and in this general region is where the earthquake swarm has been ongoing here. 4.5 struck here just a short time ago within the last hour on the outer edge here of that earthquake swarm. Still looking at about 240 earthquakes. The earthquakes here have been going down over the last couple weeks, but man, I think about a month or so ago, maybe 6 to 8 weeks or so, we had a pretty decent earthquake swarm of hundreds and hundreds of earthquakes per day striking out here around the Santorini, Greece area. Again, some thinking that it was leading to an eruption out here. No eruption yet, but things take time, right? Obviously, I feel that it was some type of major magma intrusion underneath this area. We've reached a point of maximum pressurization. That's why we're seeing the earthquake activity die down. But, that could escalate here. We've got to watch that, see if things don't kick up following this 4.5. It's a little bit larger quake than what we've seen here in this little so-called quiet time of earthquake activity out here compared to, when it was really intense. I'm sure we're 18,000 earthquakes deep for this earthquake swarm in a total tally. Not for sure how I would come up with that or how I could get that number. I have seen a few floating around a couple weeks ago when we were up around 16,000 earthquakes, but I want to see if I can get a total tally. Anyway, 4.5, you can see it right there in that blue circle. That, again, is just outside the earthquake swarm. The latest, a 2.8 within that area. I do want to double check the seismic network here from the University of Athens. With their seismological network here. Let me bring that up real quick. Wanted to refresh it, make sure I got the latest data here. There's the Santorini area. There's the caldera, center caldera. And let's see what we got. There we go. There's the 4.5. Quite nicely well-defined. Also what looks like some type of noise out there. Now, that's almost consistent in a way. I don't know if they got any wind out there or not. I guess we better double check. We see that a lot sometimes on like Yellowstone, Mount St. Helens area, anywhere that's exposed to a the wind, the environment out there. Let's see here. Where am I at? All right, so there is a little bit of wind. Let me see if we got any wind gusts out there that may be showing that. Oh, yeah, it's quite windy out there, it looks like. So that's that'd be to the north of here. That's a little bit of wind stirring up. Where'd it go? I guess that would be right about here. So we do have some decent winds kicking up out there. That may be the culprit as to why we're seeing that consistent noise here in the background. That's a lot of times it could be wind. A lot of times the earthquakes get covered up by that wind shadow as well. But there's the 4.5. Obviously, within the last hour, that showed up quite nicely. Now, if you remember during the intense earthquake swarming, that was very prominent there in terms of multiple fours. I think we even had a couple low-grade fives as well, which was pretty much clustering the entire graph here. We couldn't even see the background lines because there were so many large earthquakes striking out here. But have to watch that. Looks like there was maybe an upper 3 as well. early. Well, that'd be yesterday sometime. They're in the blue. Couple smaller earthquakes. Let me go over and check out a distant station here from that one. Not really distant, but within the same location. This one doesn't look as cluttered in terms of the wind noise. This one you can see the well-defined earthquakes out there. So there's that 4.5. So we'll continue to watch it, see what happens out here. Again, if this is some type of leading up to some type of volcanic activity, similar to what you see in Iceland or any other volcano area, magma intrusions, they take time, right? They can look all dramatic in terms of earthquakes swarming, thousands and thousands of earthquakes, and then it gets to a point of maximum pressurization below the surface. And from there, it could go away or it could escalate further. But it does take time for any type of magma intrusion to lead up to an eruption. So yeah, got to watch that. We'll see if things kick back up here, similar to what we've seen here a number of weeks ago. But for now, 4.5 there in the Greece area. Latest earthquake activity, USGS reporting that earthquake there as well. Latest activity here across the California. Well, look at that earthquake over here. Distracted pretty easily with red dots, right? It's like, whoa, look at this. That is a 4.1, pretty deep. And I'm watching this area because that is the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. It's a major subduction zone area, and I've been watching it here for a little while. I've been saying this is where our next mega quake is going to happen. I think I've been saying that for at least a year and a half, I think. Maybe 2 years. But we haven't had a mega quake yet. Our last one was back in 2021, that 8-pointer, one of the 8-pointers out there. But I'm watching this area pretty closely here. Deeper earthquake activity will lead to strain upstream. It looks like there was an earthquake here this morning, 4.6, fairly shallow across this area, but I think it's getting close here to seeing a big earthquake. I'm talking about something, in excess of an 8. So keep an eye on that. Okay, let's get back to California here. I'm just fascinated with little red dots. They just stand out. Southern California, let's see, anything above 2.5? Really not so much out there. One earthquake way down south of the border, 3.3. Aside from that, general small microquake activity out here today. A little bit on the Malibu Coast Fault. This is an area that's been popping with a lot of earthquakes as well. This is just one in the series of swarms out here in the Malibu area. A bunch of 3s, bunch of 4s here. A lot more elevated in terms of the number of earthquakes and also the magnitude level there that has been increasing in the last few months. Some thinking that this may be leading to a little bit bigger earthquake activity as well in this region, and it's capable of it. We looked at this here a number of videos back, but I don't recall the exact date when the last big one struck out here. But there is a little bit of concern that the Malibu Coast Fault may lead into the Santa Monica Fault over here. And if that's the case, then the potential for a larger earthquake comes into play. Because, of course, the magnitude level all depends on the length of the fault. And when you got a pretty lengthy fault like that, we could be estimating up around the upper 7 if that is indeed connected to one another. So watch that area, Bay Area, handful of smaller quakes up around the Calaveras Fault, one on the Hayward Fault from last night. Really nothing major going on. This is a Clear Lake volcanic field, not volcano. Well, I guess it's volcano related, but there's geothermal operations that take place down here. They tap into the heated areas below to create energy, but also at the same time it creates these microquakes out there, and this is just very common. This is not a volcano getting ready to blow. This is 1,762 geothermal earthquakes that are taking place out here in the last 30 days. That's a lot of earthquake activity. If there was not, any geothermal operations out here and we were seeing this earthquake activity, I'd be thinking this thing was going to blow. But this is very common for earthquakes there on that type of magnitude level. Multitude of quakes. There we go. Seattle, pretty quiet. One earthquake up here from yesterday. We'll watch this today. Yesterday, seen a lot of tremor activity up here underneath the area into the Cascadia subduction zone. Pretty good swarm of activity up north here into Montana and Idaho. Pretty good cluster. Really nothing big, just a notable uptick here of microquakes. Yellowstone. Let's go double check Yellowstone, which is right here. We got wind out there. Can you guys spot it? I always like to point that out, right? Because a lot of people may think this is magma movement, fluid movement, harmonic tremor, something of that nature. But that's wind. That is some decent wind out there. So I'll just go show you guys. I'll show you guys real quick here. Is this the latest map? Double check here. Well, that low pressure system is still pretty massive looking. Okay, so zoom in. Wind gusts up around Yellowstone. I'm sure some of the areas, the peaks and whatnot, are seeing higher wind gusts, at least 30 miles an hour wind gusts out there at times. And some of these other seismograph stations are exposed to the elements, are more sensitive in picking up outside interference compared to others. But that's wind out there. No doom and gloom there at Yellowstone. In fact, there's really not a whole lot of earthquake activity. I do see at least, there's one, maybe 3, 4 little small microquakes there in the last 24 hours. But I think they got those covered. They got 2 of them covered at least. Very small, 1.5 and a 0.8. Aside from that, Yellowstone super volcano is quite boring right now, and that's probably a good thing. Oil fields outside of Pecos, Texas, in the desert. I was just out there last week, man. That's a long drive. I drove from down here across the Galveston area all the way up here to Chico, California. I pretty much did it in one shot. I won't do that again. Well, I did it a couple years ago, so I keep saying that. Keep saying I'm not going to do it again, but I do it anyway. It's beautiful down there. I love driving out there, but I think I'll get back to flying. New Madrid seismic zone, pretty quiet. The Puerto Rico Trench and surrounding areas, a handful of earthquakes. The latest at 3.3, pretty deep underneath this area. Now, this region is surrounded by a couple different trench zones. This earthquake more than likely associated with the Marianas Trough, which is sitting down here. It's a subduction zone there on the Caribbean plate. And, of course, you got the Puerto Rico Trench up here. So very dynamic area in terms of potential for large earthquake activity. And the Puerto Rico Trench here definitely has some potential for way up there magnitude quakes. Right now, though, just a little bit of movement. It's been active. South America, pretty quiet as far as the USGS goes. There is a handful of earthquakes there on the globe, including a 4-pointer off the coast there along the Peru-Chile Trench. The Atlantic Ocean, pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on there. There's a Santorini area. Looks like another 2.9 coming in. Let's see here. Iceland. Oh, there's that 2.9. So that was just 1813 a little bit ago. But yeah, I'm gonna watch that. Maybe start to see this thing really ramp up again. And if that's the case, everyone, and no one knows exactly, but I'm leaning more towards it was some type of magma intrusion than just an earthquake swarm on a fault. There's a lot of earthquakes there, and it never went away. It's continuing. We're still seeing, a decent amount of earthquake activity every day, but now the magnitudes are getting a little bit larger, so we'll watch that. Definitely some type of volcanic nature, magma movement underneath the area. Some type of deeper intrusion going on there. All right, let's see here. Typical activity across the crunch zone. Really nothing big going on. It's very common to see 2s and 3s and 4s. New Zealand, handful of earthquakes, including a new 3.2 down there across South Island. I believe that's an aftershock there from the earthquake that struck a few days back down here just off the South Island tip. 6.7, one of the larger quakes out here in a little while. Hikurangi subduction zone remains stable for now in terms of not letting it go. Hawaii, I believe we're at a pause right now. This was last night. Beautiful, absolutely stunning, beautiful fountain going on. That came to an abrupt halt. Let's go check out the volcano updates and see what we have here. This is put out last night. The eruption ended at 7:10 p.m. last night, Hawaii time. Looks like episode 15 lasted just over 31 hours. It was a pretty decent episode this time, and that's due to, well, the last episode prior to that really didn't deplete all the potential. Later fountaining reached maximum heights over 1,000 feet, folks. That's got to be spectacular. And it may be, I'm thinking that was due to a blockage down below there. Below one of the vents, or maybe it has to be just below one of the vents. Because this last time here, episode 15 is right here, right? But look how far episode 14 depleted. This is leading up to the eruption right here, and then pause in the eruption, but we didn't even go, we just barely went halfway down compared to the previous level seen. So something happened here, got a blockage at one of the vents, and then it inflated, and then I think that's why we're seeing a little bit more of the spectacular fountaining going on there with this last eruption. Now the current level, here's that little pause, already going back up. We'll just have to see. I mean, we went, trying to compare this last depletion of magma, even though it was, beautiful fountaining going on, 1,000-foot high. Not quite completely depleted if we compare it to other depletion events or eruption events there. So just kind of watch it. It's interesting, though, to see this just go through a cycle. These are pretty much predictable when it comes to a time frame if you were to want to go out there and to see this eruption right before it begins. All right, let's see what else we got here, folks. Anything different going on here on the globe? Not really. All right, space weather activity. See if there's anything going on there across the sun right now. Double check my audio. It's good. Making sure it didn't freeze up on me. Let's see. We had some M flare activity yesterday, a little M flare. Since then, a number of C flares, but really nothing of noteworthy value. That came off of 4043 here, which is, let's take a look at it. It's probably this sunspot right here, 4043. That doesn't look all happening right now. It doesn't look all that active right now. But there is a little bit of popcorn colors there in that central core of that sunspot that is kicking off a little bit of instability. Watch that. It may pop off another M flare. I don't think we got any X flare potential in there. And really not a whole lot there on the eastern limb. I see something way out there. It looks like some really deep colors here. Really dark red and orange out there on the extreme far eastern limb of the sun. Let's see which sunspot that is. That's going to be this one right here. That's a massive area. Now, this was put out yesterday, so it's a little bit closer over here. I think that's why we can just barely see a little bit of the magnetogram complexity, but that may be an active area to watch here in the coming days. It's fairly massive. It almost looks like it's grown here in the last couple days, so watch that. It may be promising there for some future solar flares. Nothing major going on in the aurora forecast for now. As far as any major close approach asteroids. Let's see what we got here real quick. Where am I? Why do I always have problems finding this one? It literally just disappeared. Come on, brain. There we go. There we go. All right. That one's pretty close. 500,000 miles there. 35-foot bus-size asteroid. But yeah, it's coming through today. But even though that's still fairly safe. The rest of these are millions of miles away. Really nothing major going on. So, man, did you guys hear about all that severe weather potential up in the Pacific Northwest yesterday? Right? They issued the first ever severe thunderstorm watch for the Pacific Northwest. Never had that before. Guess what? It didn't even happen. They didn't even have one severe thunderstorm. They had lots of lightning, but that doesn't make a thunderstorm severe. A little bit of pea-sized hail, but that's it. A couple special weather statements, but nothing of spectacular nature. I guess that's good, but man, was that a flop of a forecast. Let me see if there was anything reported from yesterday. Oh, it's a little slow here. I don't think it's me. Nope. There we go. Nothing. Not even a high wind report. Pretty crazy, huh? I'm glad I didn't drive up there. I thought about driving up there to cover that severe weather event because it looked spectacular, but guess what? It's just your typical Pacific Northwest storm that came in and a bunch of lightning, and that's it. No severe anything. Pretty crazy. Today, slight risk for some severe weather out here across, looks like Nebraska and Kansas, Missouri in there as well. That's probably due to tornado activity. Up 2% looks like down in Texas as well. A bit of wind and even a hail threat associated with that little region right here. Quick glance at the numerical model as far as future runs go. There's that massive low pressure system spinning off the coast. That will continue to move inland, bring some continued chances there of some rain showers and snow in the mountains. A little bit bigger storm here for California as we head into early next week. And then a little bit bigger one behind that. Look at that. That's a dandy of a storm for the first couple days of April. Going to be quite wet. After that, looks like it clears up a little bit, but that's a ways out there. We'll have to see how things play out. In the meantime, have a good day, folks. Looks like some intermittent data blackout here on the live seismograph station. Some of them are out. Hopefully those come back, but we'll keep an eye on them. No new quakes here on the globe that I can see. A little 1.4 up in Alaska, but we'll keep an eye there on the Santorini area, see if the swarm intensifies or not. And, of course, if anything does change, we'll provide some updates out here. Have a good one. We'll see you guys out here for the Thursday evening update. Stay safe.